We've lost one of our selectmen and a friend last Saturday. Dale Palmer was very active in this board. He's very active in the community with which he lived, the fire department, etc., serving his country, so on. He spent a great deal behind the scenes in this board, helping us with our policies and doing a lot of computer work at home, where he was very knowledgeable and calling different agencies and getting information that a lot of us didn't have the time to put into it. He did. He was a great help to us on this. It was a pleasure working with Dale. He was very good as a person. He was very good as a select board member. This board would certainly like to thank him for all his service and extend our greatest sympathy to his family and our thank you to his family for sharing him with us for the last year and a half. Thank you. I'd like to have just a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Okay, on with our meeting. Agenda approval of the minutes of 1/30/14, warrants, mail, road foreman's monthly board meeting, transfer station supervisory monthly board meeting. Old business is our personnel policy, and under new business, the Pownal Town Office Committee would like to get permission from the board to hire an architect firm for the design for our new municipal building project. With that,
I'd like to add one thing in old business, Red Cross in school. About 2 minutes.
school, okay. Okay, with that, I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes 1/30/14.
So moved. Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Warrants. Payroll 2/2/14 to 2/7/14, the amount of $6,091.67. Payroll 2/9 to 2/14/14 in the amount of $7,133.86. Payroll 2/16 to 2/21/14 in the amount of $7,231.59. Accounts payable 2/7/14 in the amount of $7,465. Payroll transfer, Champlain Oil for Gas, American Rock Salt Company are your larger items in there. Accounts payable 2/14/14 in the amount of $19,504.32. Wastewater is $1,200. Delivery sales is $23.35 for equipment maintenance. Osterman fuel for office seat $10.14. Aspirin fuel again for wastewater, and that's several times, 881 and 980. Ozark water quality, that's wastewater is 1800. West Oil for diesel fuel, 5849 are some of your larger ones in that. Accounts payable 22114 in the amount of $17,104.71. Again, Casella Waste Management 1536. Green Mountain Power for our electricity 7294.84, and TAM Waste Management 3130.64 are your larger items in that particular one. And those are your warrants.
Motion.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mail. While we're on that, I will throw this out there. We have a rabies clinic. April 1st, 2013.
Date will be announced.
Okay, all right. The date will be announced. We have that every year, usually at the firehouse over here. So it's something to be announced, probably be announced at the next meeting. So,
It didn't get into the town report.
okay, that was, if I read the fine print, yes, it wasn't in the town report, and there will be a rabies clinic coming up, and will be announced with it. Okay, we have uniform excess weight permit for Cattell Construction. Our road foreman has looked at this, and we have the insurance policy there. What is your pleasure?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, a certificate of no appeal or suit pending from our listers. We hereby certify on the date there are no appeals pending from action on listers or suits pending to recover taxes paid under protest relating to April 1st, 2013 grand list. I need a motion to have signatures from all of you on this.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a letter from Sarah White, and this is the EPA's 5-year renewal of the remedy of the Pownal Tannery Superfight site has begun. EPA is required to do a remedy review of all Superfund sites every 5 years. Once a 5-year review of the Pownal Tannery is complete, EPA will issue a report of their findings made available at the site repository at the Pownal Library and on EPA's Pownal Tannery Superfund site. We have a letter from Ellen, our delinquent tax collector. We need an appointment of a selectman to be present at the tax sale, which will be February 28th at 10 a.m. I saw Ellen and talked further on this, and with your guys' working conditions and Ronnie usually being involved, if nobody wants to, Dale used to do this for us, I will step into that position.
Well, it was, I asked about that before, and they said, well, you can't bid on anything and be there as a representative of town.
Right.
But then I asked later on, I think it was Ellen that I asked, and she said, yes, you can. So
Oh.
if that's okay, I'll fill the both positions, but But I may bid on something, that's the only, I'm gonna go there.
Well,
But-
if there's any question,
Yeah, okay.
if there's a question, I have no problem, so. If we can make it simpler for a minute. Okay, State of Vermont Agency Administration, Office of Secretary. Important changes to regarding the state premise assistance after major flood and natural disasters to improve the community's resilience to flood impacts, which save taxpayers money. They have a list of things, have protective flood hazard regulations, adopt up-to-date 2014 to 16 local transportation codes and standards, establish an up-to-date local emergency operations plan, and develop and adopt local hazard mitigation plan. Okay, we also have from our tax collector, delinquent tax collector, that we have a phone system problem with her particular phone line. We have a serious ice buildup out here, which has been knocking out her line, so it has not been functioning properly. So if you have to get a hold of our delinquent tax collector while this particular problem exists, it's 802-379-5610. 802-379-5610. If nobody gets that, just call this office and we will certainly get you that number. Okay? And hopefully that, after the rain, that'll go away and everything will work again. Okay, we have our lovely delinquent tax report here. We have 319,988.42. With interest, penalties, and other, we have $374,289.80. Delinquent tax on our sewer. Total is $15,149.23. VLCT newsletter flyer. And we have a letter that was sent to Lee Morrison thanking him for his services on the flood that we had in North Pownal at the time he donated to help us down there. And that concludes our mail, folks. Road foreman's monthly board meeting.
I guess first thing on the agenda is I got a quote on repairs for the bridge. Is that right there in front of you? That's something we need to act on because we sent a letter to the state indicating to them that we'd have the work done prior to April 15th. And while we have the staging set up on the piers, I'm going to try to get a engineer from the state to come down and inspect the beams so that we'll have something in writing from the state saying that we can reuse the materials that are there, the beams and the piers. This is the same company that did the repairs of the deck.
Right, right.
I know we had talked about maybe putting it out to bid again, but the other bid that we got with the repairs for the deck was considerably more than this company here, so that's why I didn't bother.
I think it would have to go out to bids because it's a different job, really.
Bridge work.
That's my feeling on it.
What difference does it make on our time frame? Getting another bid on this to cover all
Well, the sooner
aspects.
I could, if it was a couple weeks ago and we was, beginning of the month or something, it probably would have been, it's just hard to see it with all the snow and the ice
Right.
and I mean, it can still be done, but like I said, we have until the 15th to get the repairs done. I don't know how long it's gonna take. It may say on there how long the estimates it's gonna take.
Be completed by April 15th, it says.
Say how long it's gonna take to do the repairs. So I don't really have any idea. I know that,
I haven't looked at that yet. What are we talking on repairs for this
The-
particular step of it?
34,000.
the
34,675.
bridge
okay.
report that we got, last, I think it was August, stated that the seats that the actual beams set in are deteriorated on the outside edge. There's concrete poured in between each one. There's 5 beams that go across the bridge. And the outside, of course, the outside seats that hold the beams in on the piers are deteriorated on both piers. So there's 4 actual sections that need repairs. So they go in and chisel all that stuff out. They set up staging so they have a work platform, and they put, I'm not sure if they form it up and then pour concrete to secure them, or they anchor them with steel. I'm not sure exactly what they are gonna do.
Now, this would actually, any work they do on this particular procedure on this would be intact for the time when the bridge is actually done over.
Right.
So
What we'll
this would
do,
stay
it
in
will
place.
secure the bridge to eliminate the,
Further deterioration
bridge,
in there.
we get a bridge report from the state every other year, and this will alleviate the deficiencies that they saw in the bridge.
But what I'm saying is what they're gonna do for work here, it wouldn't be destroyed once the bridge went
Wouldn't
under
be destroyed,
construction.
or it wouldn't be,
I mean, this would be to our benefit because it would be used again
yes.
further down the road.
And that's the other thing, is I was gonna have somebody coming down from the state and inspect the beams while the platform is up, so they can actually see the
Right.
complete beam, the way they sit on the seats, and determine just how deteriorated they are.
Also, yeah, just a sec, Rich, wasn't there with this particular company, we had a certain amount of money that was.
We have a grant.
Right, certain amount of money to use on that, and we did not use
We
all of
didn't,
it
yes.
because of the halt in the project. So
Yes.
with this, we still have funds available to
A
go toward.
considerable amount, and we won't even use, we'll use probably 2/3 of the grant. The rest will go, of course, will go back to the state.
Wasn't that company the low bidder anyhow?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
And that's why I say they were involved in it, and that's why I was saying with this grant.
Wasn't for
so-
the same work though. It was for the bed.
I understand that, but they were still the low bidder of the project as it's originally stood.
See where I was going, Mike, is they'd started the project and they had to stop
Yeah.
because of further problems. Now, we're kind of swapping one thing that they were doing into something else that they were doing, another facet of it because of the problem we actually had with the full structure.
At the time I got the quote on actually doing the repairs, the bridge report from 4 years ago didn't indicate that there was anything wrong with this, where the seats were to hold beams. So after the fact, we got a bridge report after they already almost completed, I think, the repairs on the deck.
You're comfortable with this?
I'm comfortable with this right here. Like I say, my recommendation is to okay this right here, so that right now the state is kind of a downtime on doing bridge repairs or bridge work or estimates of anything because of the weather. And I may be able to line somebody up within the next month to get them to come down and take a look at the beams
We do have
All
a
the
short
staging.
time frame.
while the staging and stuff is up.
So, do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we go ahead with that company on those repairs.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
Why?
Won't make it opposed, I don't care. I still think it should go up to bid.
The other thing, I guess, I got to call out a couple things. It's we've been having a rough time getting salt, but it's coming right directly off the rail cars, so they're right out straight.
We're lucky to be getting it at all from what I've heard
Well,
across the country.
luckily, we have some still down the warehouse, and they did bring us a load. I think it was Friday. So we actually do have probably 30 ton of salt. There's supposed to be 40 more. But like I say, with the way things are, may get it, may not get it. So at least, hopefully we'll get it when we need it. But that's
From what I'm seeing the state use, I think they're having the same problem.
Yeah.
So it's
it's,
been kind of tough with the storms we're having, and
so you'll see that we're not scraping the shoulders off completely because all it is salt brine anyway. So if you leave it there, and it's actually doing more good there than plowed up onto the snowbank. So we haven't really had too many breakdowns. There's a sensor gone on the grader that is keeping it from shifting higher than fourth gear. So it's hard to get around with the grader with a wing on it. And first, second, third, and fourth. So hopefully this rain will take care of a lot of it, and we won't have to worry about it too much. The other thing is I've been putting together a invitation to bid for a new truck. The truck that I use is been through 16 and a half winters, and she's really tired. It's hard to get around with it. It's not so bad when it doesn't have a plow on it, but it's just wore out. And the indications of the people that I've been talking to, if we was to order a truck 1st of April, you probably wouldn't see it before complete with plow, wing, sander, till probably somewhere, excuse me, into November.
wow.
So that's why I'm trying to get going on this as directly as possible. Because my truck will not see one more winter.
And we did discuss this, and we did budget money for this particular item also.
On there it indicates that the truck will be bid separate, because it makes a difference, whoever decides they're gonna put the hydraulics and the body on it, on exactly what truck we're gonna go with. So that's the cabin chassis will be bid out first.
Money was in this year's budget, right? Well, it's coming up. I would like, my personal feeling, I like to table it until after we make sure the budget passes.
Either way.
Now, we have money in the account. I don't remember exactly what we do have in that particular equipment. For
Read
another-
the bid. Nothing would be bought until the 1st of July.
And these are only bids anyhow, we're not
That's
under
right.
any commitment.
Says right on the front that the
Right.
town can relinquish any bids, throw them all out if it's the town's best interest.
Right. It'd
So
be-
regardless of whether it passes or not,
At least
you could
we have
just-
a figure to
you
work
could just
with.
throw them out.
We'd have a figure to work with, that's all we're basically looking at this point, and then with the delivery date being as far out as it is, would be that much step closer to it if we did go that way.
I don't know if I missed it. Is this four-wheel drive?
You need a motion on this? I make a motion, we put this out to bid.
Okay, we have a motion to go out to bid for a new town truck. I need a second.
Well, all we're getting is bids, right?
Yep,
So, I
that's
don't-
all.
First stage, yep.
I'll second it.
Any more conversation? I'll call the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll give you a chance to read through it. It's just, basically it's just information and basically just a basic truck. It's nothing special.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's our oldest truck, the one that we're,
That's the first new dump truck the town bought. 1997.
So we're gonna have that bronzed and put in the park somewhere?
Oh, it's actually gonna, we're gonna, with what parts are costing, is our '09, the truck number 1 went to Delurys because of emission issues. It was a $2,300 bill. And they said that the charge air cooler is also gone, which they didn't change. And that's another $1,200 for that piece. We're not gonna change it until they could indicate to me that it's actually gone. So, these emission things are killing these trucks. It's just,
A lot of stuff on them.
that's why if you noticed on there, I think they've been using urea for 5 or 6, 7, 8 years now, and it seems to be what everybody's going to. I know it's one more thing you have to do, but it's not really that difficult.
Well, put it out to bid and let's see what happens.
yep, so far we've been doing good with our equipment. It's keeping us on the road during these storms instead of in the shop working on it, which has been tremendous.
We
what
still
we've
have
worked against.
2 other, the smaller, the green truck is, that's a 98, and actually it belonged to Sandgate, and they oiled it. And they, of course, took and brought it to, up there almost into Rutland, and they drilled all the holes in the cab, and they squirted it all over, and that truck actually is in pretty decent shape still. The other new truck that we bought was an '01, the one that Stoney used. And she's getting old too, but at least it's not anywhere near as bad a shape as the one I got.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're still in pretty good shape on equipment, and that's, we need to stay that way because it's not, it's too hard to catch up if we get behind.
Yeah, we tried the old truck route, and it's just not, it's not cost effective.
How'd the 1 ton do this winter?
Great, great.
Everybody likes it?
Yeah, we didn't do too much sanding with it.
Uh-huh.
But, for plowing and getting around and stuff, it worked out pretty good.
Good.
Just having one more person in the seat makes a big difference.
Good. I've heard a lot of good things about the roads in Pownal. Not too many negative things. So
Well, like I say, without having the big, the plow that's on the truck that I use is 11 foot. And on days like Monday and Tuesday, I would have been out trying to roll some of the shoulders back, but it just does not have enough power to do it. Even with an empty sander, there's just not, you have to have some weight in order to be able to not spin out everywhere you go, and it just does not have it.
it's tired.
I thought about putting it on another truck, but it's just haven't got that far yet.
Been a lot going on this winter, so it's, we're doing well. I've heard the same thing. Like I said, Rich has heard a couple small complaints, but very small. And most
I
of them
did get a
are-
couple mailboxes. It happens every year, and
Is your average down
I-
from last year?
way down.
Oh, that's good.
But And I want everybody to know it doesn't happen on purpose. The moldboard on our plows is about 39 inches. Dorothy Kimball, the old lady, says that the mailboxes need to be 44 inches or just a little bit higher. So if they were all that height, I probably wouldn't hit any of them. The only thing I actually don't hit them with the moldboard. I actually hit them with the snow coming off the moldboard. So,
And it's difficult because we have some snow now.
and
so.
one doesn't the other.
Yep.
How much is in the mailbox fund?
There's actually nothing in there. It's just,
That's not our thing.
if there's orange paint on it, which all the plows are orange, if there's orange paint on it, I'd be happy to replace it completely. Because if it hits the moldboard, it probably won't work.
Very good.
For me, it's a success.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Casey. Go home and get a couple moments of good rest because it sounds like you're going to be out later.
It looks like it's gonna rain. I don't know. I saw 40-something degrees, but it's
It's
probably
talking
38
colder
now.
a little bit later and it's going to turn into a little harder rain coming down. Okay, transfer station supervisor report. See who says we can't bundle.
See, Mike didn't want to hang around. Basically, 3-4 weeks ago, I went up to a meeting on Act 148, where we spent about 3 hours with the Agency of Natural Resources going over this 60-page document. And some of the highlights of that and concerns with towns, and they still have some time for input. Because it is law, it's going to the Rules Committee, and they'll define how this is going to go forward. It's not that this is going to change or reverse, to my knowledge. One of the issues was benchmarking because of logistics. If you got a town like Burlington or something like that, as far as, because they're describing leaf and yard waste and the concerns of a number of towns that are more rural, like Pownal, if they set benchmarks that are not appropriate, because a number of people in a town like this have enough room on their property so they don't bring the leaf and yard waste like they would in other areas. So that was one of the issues. There was a number of them. Of course, everybody there would like some funding to help transition into this. I don't know how that's going to work out. When they first passed this law, there was absolutely no funding involved in it. They are going to request some funding, but I don't know how that's going to turn out either. Another big point that I actually brought out at that meeting, a lot of this, there's a lot of emphasis on educating people and in the schools. And the thing that I pointed out in that meeting, there was nobody there from any educational department whatsoever. And of course the concern is, and it is with the BCRC and each district, is that responsibility and how much of it is going to be tried to pushed off onto us, where it was felt that they had more influence on the school systems than what we would have. And that's one of them. Because Michael, I got this late, some feedback from the BCRC to them, and that was one of the issues they've touched on 2 or 3 times in here. The other thing you're going to see in this is what they call EPR, which is Enhanced Producer Responsibility. And that's what your e-waste is now. And your paint care and the mercury bulb program. I don't know how much they're going to expand that. That'll also come out of the Rules Committee. I just read an article yesterday where they're doing it in Canada, and they looks like they gotta go back to the drawing board, because they've got this complex. It's like Mike said earlier, as far as, because your question, Rich, the way all these documents are written, they're complex. And I will say this, when it comes to education, I found it surprising, because when I came back from this meeting, it was only a week or so later, that there was an article in the paper where Pam and his organization were in the middle school working with them to educate on the food separation and whatnot. So that gives you an idea where he is on that curve with this recyclables and Act 148. I think that's more or less the highlights until we get feedback from A&R. Won't know too much more now. The paint care, I met with Mike and John Hurd. They are going to be stewards, what they call stewards of the paint care program. And essentially what this means, this paint law goes into effect this year. There will be places for people to take their household paints. Don't go there right now, but Sherwin and Williams, from what I understand, now this hasn't totally been finalized either, but Sherwin and Williams will be a point in Bennington where you will be able to take paints. Now you cannot take, at this point, spray paints, solvents, and there's some industrial paints, and you wouldn't be able to take your automotive paints there. This generally captures most people's household needs. And another thing about this, the paint, is it needs to have a label on it in order to go through this process. Because if it doesn't have a label, then they don't know for sure if it's paint. What you can do in that case is take it to Hazardous Household Waste Day, and we may combine collection of this paint, and this will be latex as well, because normally latex we haven't been taking at Hazardous Household Waste Day. So it looks like we're going to combine this, because Paint Care will come and pick that up, which will help reduce the expense of the Household Hazardous Waste Day for the towns. And they will have people there that can open that can and make a determination of what's in it. So, like I say, this isn't totally finalized either. And that brings me back to another point in Act 148, which I spoke against, and it looks like the BCRC did as well. Within 3 years, they wanted to add another event, a third event in each district. And then in 5 years, they wanted to add another event, making it 4. And my comment was then that since they do, the mercury bulbs and the paint are two big items that come in, and they've reduced that significantly. On top of that, you have a lot of manufacturers making household products that are environmentally friendly. So they're reducing that stream. So I hope they reconsider the number of events they're going to require for household hazardous waste. Ideally, if it can be done, each district can set up possibly a place where one could go maybe once a week, maybe once a month. That's something that we were working on in the SWIFT. But and then that would satisfy their needs. But I'm hoping that they look at that, and I think the other towns are hoping that they look at that as well, so that, because that's an expensive process, the household hazardous waste part of it. I think the only other thing I can tell you, as this comes along and solidifies, then I'll have more information on it. There is a possibility I could do it at the transfer station, but every time you take on these responsibilities, there's more training involved, there's more paperwork involved. So we might do like a one-time event to help purge the system initially. But those are things that I'm looking at. So, other than that, if somebody's got some questions, I won't.
No, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under old business, we've gone through this 400 or 500 times, it seems like. Our personnel policy. Dale was working on this, and our last meeting that we discussed, we had to the page so we can be a little more exact. On page 5, the sick days, and they may be occurred up to 10 days, along with your vacations, which were set up in Nemrick. Vacation time has occurred up to 2 years. If anything is not taken in that 2-year frame, it would be forfeited. But the computer's set up to roll the first year over if some wasn't taken, and it would roll into the second year, but it doesn't go beyond that. And that was where our fear was of rolling these times over. So we've corrected that. That was our last large hurdle in this. Corrected it to stay with the Nemrick system that we have on the computer now, that it kicks to the 2-year. If it's not used within that frame, it disappears. With that, the policy other state was on the current. I got the one that was scribbled on, it would help me a lot, because that was really a mess. Okay. On your current elected staff, where the elected staff right now, we have 2 of them that have health insurance benefits. We changed the beginning where it said elected staff.
What page are you on, Steve?
Page 6 at the very top of the page. And where it said elected staff that work approved schedule, we changed from elected to current elected, which meaning the people that are there presently, because they are on the present health form. And if they lose an election, the people coming in will not be put on that we're eliminating that position. Newly elected officers will not be eligible for town insurance. They will be responsible for their own. Obviously, if the elected officials that are on now lose, of course they lose also. And those were the 2 changes that we finally rumbled through with that. We've been a long time working on this, but I think we've got everything pretty close to correct now, at least a good solid foundation to work off from for the future. So what I am looking for before this board tonight is to adopt this policy.
I'll make the motion to accept the town of Pownal current personnel policy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more questions on? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. You all have copies of it. I've left Linda a copy here, and I have a couple extra here, so if Steve, can I get a copy? Yes. Good, thank you.
And every new hire
Yep,
will
the
receive a
board
copy,
convenes, they should.
right?
Yes.
Mike, are you gonna take care of the signing, or you gonna drop these, were you involved with that, or? did you-
Actually, we should sign
One of them.
We
one of
should
them right
sign-
now.
right.
We'll sign the main one coming through right now.
Right, so that can be kept with the minutes.
And that will be kept. Everybody will have a copy, so. If we've approved it, we all sign.
Steve, whose computer is this on now?
I believe that we have one on Ellen's right now. I'm not sure. But it's no longer where it came from originally.
They want, this needs to go to my computer
Okay.
at some point from
It
somebody.
can be, I'm not a computer whiz, it can be, what do they call it?
Is it in the town office?
Yes,
That's all I wanna know, if
Yes.
it's in the town office.
yes. Yep. I can't think of the right word, but you can, it's not copy
Scan.
and scan. There we go. That was a simple enough one, I couldn't figure it. Okay, if everybody would just. We couldn't find all the paperwork, but we put together what we could, and we did pretty well. Okay, while you guys are signing that, we had Saturday, the town office committee meeting for municipal building design.
I had one thing in old business.
Pardon?
I had one thing in old business.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I did get, I scribbling, okay, Mike. Yep, Red Cross,
I talked a while ago about Red Cross the shelter. They have set a date for the Red Cross to come down and teach people on how to operate a shelter in the event of an emergency. The shelter training will be Saturday, March 1st at the Pownal Elementary School, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Sign up for this training and call the principal, Mr. Phillips, at the school at 823-7333, or Larry Kufferman, which is the Red Cross, at 802-660-9130, extension 113, or you can just contact me and I can get you registered. There'll be a poster sign up. That's Saturday, March 1st. And it's all volunteer work. Hoping we can get, they like 8 to 10 people.
Is that posted anywhere?
They've got posters out, and I'm gonna put one here in Stewart's, and
Okay.
Linda, I will leave
all I
an
got
extra
on that.
copy right there of that. Okay, very good, thank you, Mike. Okay, back to what I was saying, the town office committee met Saturday. We met with two architects, one from St. Albans and one from Wilmington. We spent the day, morning with one and the afternoon with the other, doing site visits and discussing this with them in quite detail on what our aspects were, what our thoughts and hopes were, and what our budget lines were to try to put something together, which would have to go out to vote anyways, but to give them a rough idea where we'd like to end up and what we really felt comfortable in not building the Taj Mahal, but something that's really needed and to get us finally off and running with this so the people of town accept it and feel comfortable that we've done our due diligence in the right direction to do this. Both architects were very impressive. They seemed to have a very good grip on what our thoughts were, and they were actually pretty impressed with our site and could see, I think, the same vision that we were seeing through the course of this. We unanimously came to a decision after our meeting with them, and as fortune has it, we picked actually the lowest bidder on the thing, And it was only because of the qualifications are great in both cases. But these particular people met with what we needed, and the price obviously is always nice when you fall into a lower price range. And these people were very in tune. They've done town office buildings, municipal designs before. They've done several buildings. They've been very creative. They've done one in Jacksonville that they created actually a firehouse actually in town office complex, and they put a steeple or a silo in there. And the silo is not only for character, but it's actually for the fire departments for the hose dryings. So it was pretty unique on their plans on this. And like I say, their price was thousands of dollars less. Thousands less. Willing to work with us, come down, and they're right in Wilmington, so it's a real hands-on type situation. So we as a board, which Frank is the chairman, I'll let you speak if you'd like before I give any figures and give
Oh,
your
sure.
impression.
Want me to soften them up before you?
Well, no, this is like I said, it was a unanimous decision across the whole board.
Move up to the table here.
We were very impressed with the people, and I'll let Frank give his 2 cents on how he felt about it also.
No, actually, we had put this out in an RFP, and we're talking now about a building design. People get confused as to what we're really talking about at this particular phase, and this is the middle phase of this particular operation. And we're talking about designing a municipal building, what's going to be in it, what's the layout going to look like. And we had 3 firms that submitted RFPs. One firm we decided not to go with before we did the interviews, and we called the 2 firms down for an interview. Steve was right, they were both very professional. But the interesting thing about the particular firm that we recommended, not only were they the lowest bid, but Steve was talking about the silo. The interesting thing about that is the fact that they wanted to have a hose drying tower. And quite honestly, the people of this particular town really were not thrilled about having to build a firehouse. They were getting a lot of pushback on this project. And they were innovative, and they talked to the community, and some farmer in the community said, I've got an old silo. You want the silo? Take the silo if you can make it work. And they made it work and put it together, and that's the picture that I will pass around and you can take a look at of the building with the silo, which says to me that's pretty innovative. When you can go out into a community and basically repurpose that and turn it into a hose drying tower, that's pretty good. That tells me that these folks are interested in working with us and saving money. This is not an off-the-shelf type of operation where they say, oh, okay, we'll draw you a square box and there's your...
Right, and reach in your pocket to do the rest. The people liked the site, they liked what we pictured in our minds they were picturing. And they could see
have
the
a
same
couple of
thing,
these.
and
You
we're in
can
the
take a
middle of
look
a
at 'em.
snowstorm, so getting the view was kind of tough, but,
Well, in amongst the snowflakes.
yeah, but we were very pleased with them, and like I said, it was a very comfortable meeting and very nice outcome at the end of that meeting.
Well, it was, and there is there's the price tag. that they came up with, which is what we have recommended the board go with.
Frank, what is that price tag? Or, you know,
Okay,
He's gonna release them all here in a minute, right? How many options they given?
well, we haven't picked them yet. I mean, that's,
They said that they would draw several sketches and bring back to us for our ideas. We've given them a layout of a building type. Just a scale to give them an idea of what our anticipation of sitting in this district, being a historic district, being the location, and trying to make something that fits as they did their silo, something that looks like it's been there. They said they will draw several different scales together and bring them back down to us for our review. And when we, decide on one, then they can go more forward with it and figure out floor planning and office space, the designs. We eliminated out of these two, out of the three, we eliminated the first one, which was in the mid to upper $20,000 brackets. Okay, for figures. We come down to the next two, which the total on one was 13,160, and the other one ran us a scale of 3,500 to 6,500, depending on where we fell. So obviously, being a fair amount of difference in between, we did question this enough to feel what was coming out. Were we shortchanging ourselves and finding a lot of hidden clauses, and we did not. So, and like I said, we were very content with what we heard, and we as a board, Town Office Committee Board, decided to go with Linsink Architect out of Castle Hill in Wilmington, Vermont. And the scale is between 3,500 and 6,500. So we are asking your approval to go with this,
I make a motion to go with what'd you call it, Linsink?
Linsink
Linsink
Architects out of Wilmington.
Architects.
I got a couple of questions. Are we ready to proceed with this in the near future?
We need figures before we can do anything. We can't go before the
That
people.
I agree, but I mean,
Right.
also, I'm gonna have to abstain or vote no or whatever, because I said when they bought the property, I would go along with buying the property, but before anything was done with the property, I wanted the townspeople to vote on it, period. So I'm gonna stand my ground on that, because I thought that was, we kinda jumped the gun and overstepped our authority as far as I was concerned.
Well, I'm not gonna go back 8 years and thrash in something that we worked on. I know we've had estimates to do a building. We've spent a ton of money on architectural design that was, for lack of a better word, not good.
Steve, I'd just like to remind the board, there's a motion on the floor, there's a lot of discussion, either rescind it or
Okay,
have a second.
so, okay. So
Well,
we do
usually you
have,
make a motion and then you discuss it, don't you?
Well, I didn't have a second.
Oh,
We're
okay, so
discussing
we
something
needed a
that
second to
you-
discuss this further, I guess.
okay.
So Mike, you've made the motion.
Yeah, we gotta start somewhere.
Well, we're waiting for a second.
I'll second it with discussion.
We have, just to pitch in on this, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but I know it was a lot of money that we spent on the last design factor, the last phase. We couldn't afford that. I know the last money we spent to get an idea of lowering the price of that particular estimate that they gave us, that cost us about $6,500 to come back with a reply for a lower estimate. And it was $1 million lower, which put it at 3.5 million, which is, again, out in left field. We have worked very hard at trying to figure out what we can put down there for this town to go forward and do it for the taxpayers' best benefit to get the most bang for our dollar. We know we're taxpayers too. We're sitting in the same position. But we can't sit here many more years in a building that doesn't fulfill our needs, that creates problems for the working people within, the public that come in, and everything else. And we have probably found one of the best deals right at the moment for, if we went to the $6,500, it's probably the best $6,500 we could spend to get an idea if we can do this and what kind of a price range.
Let me ask this question: on the money that was spent before, do we have a set of plans? Do we have elevations? Do we have anything?
We have a whole lot of things, but it's, if you want to build a $4 million building, that's what you're
Well-
gonna do.
Well, elevations don't change.
Well,
I mean,
I
they,
don't know if we had elevations for that.
what they
That
did,
was a feasibility and a site.
they did everything. We trimmed off and told them what we expected, where we expected, and what we needed for room size. So they put this together now.
well, I see,
We've given them the place to do it, and they're gonna come back with the design factor and give us a dollar amount within, on what we can work with. Now,
so I guess what I'm trying to say is, there anything from the previous plans that we've already paid for that this firm could use to lower the cost of that even further?
what, it's what we gave them. We
So
gave
they
them,
have all this already.
we gave them, yeah, we cheated and used a lot of different dimensions on rooms and what was used for space and so on.
You know, I know there's been discussion of it, but
Yeah, and they're
with
not,
me being on the board, and I'm
Right.
trying to.
and also, Rich, we gave them, these other architects that came down previous to this, designed the building for us. I mean, the looks of the building, what it would look like, where it would be,
Right.
the roof, so
Right,
on.
that's what you pay them for.
We've already given them this. We've given them a basic idea what we expect the building to look like. So they don't have to draw us. We didn't want to spend 10 grand having us draw us a picture of a building. This is what we would like it to look like so it fits in our historic district. Fit our office into this type of an idea and tell us what you come up with. So we are working hand in hand with these people, and these people want to work hand in hand with us. And like they said,
So basically, for the money, we're gonna have we're gonna have an elevation and a set of plans, blueprints, correct? With a price tag,
Yep.
a current price tag.
Yep.
And then it's gonna go out to the voter.
then we will, they also look for money. Now, we're looking at energy, because there's not a lot of grants out there for right now for this type of projects, but
You know, that's,
energy is one of our top things
yeah,
right
but that's
now.
also very expensive to do for the money you get back.
What, energy?
The Energy Star rating, is that what you're talking about?
No, we're looking for energy grants to do,
Energy Star rating, right, where you
but
get,
there's money for building if you build energy efficient.
right, and
That's
that's
about-
also very expensive to do, and there's a lot of
Right,
stipulations along with that.
Right. but this is why they do,
If you go for the rating.
If for the, right, well, that's where you save your money, that's where,
and you also are looking at your solar and your passive solar. And these people come up with ideas that, you know, fixed windows versus open windows. Different things that, you know, they come up with ideas. It was a nice round table meeting. It was very comfortable. And for the bang for the buck, I think
now, was it just Frank and you at this, or was it the whole,
there's
was it the whole
one,
board?
two, three, 6 of us, I believe, on that board.
It was,
Dave Thomas was also one of the people there, which gave some carpenter input, which was nice.
I think your minutes, they were somewhere on the table.
should be a set of minutes here someplace.
Probably I got them in this pile too.
That's what they look like, right there.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Will state monies be, grant monies be excluded from this project? In other words, my question goes to the lodge that was there, historical lodge.
When you say state monies, you're
Maybe
talking
historical funds.
historical. I don't believe you will find any historical monies available.
Okay.
The people, I'm sure, are not overly impressed with the removal of the lodge, and I don't believe there's a lot of historical funds available anyways. So
And where would this $6,500 come out of?
it would come out of the town office fund, which we have currently, that we just put money into again.
I hope you're putting money in every year.
We do. We should have around $100,000 sitting in there right now currently.
Yeah, why not?
How much did, I'm sorry, how
We
much?
should have around $100,000 in there currently. I mean, we've rolled this ball and, for lack of a better word,
Well, I understand, but we've also, you know, we're revisiting this again and spending more money and, I'm not against it, but I'm just trying to, thinking how you can possibly use what we've already paid for and incorporate it into this, et cetera, but, I mean, obviously it is a good price.
That's one of the reasons
it's-
why it's a good price.
it's more than a quarter less than we paid the first time around. So like I said, even if we did everything wrong,
Half as much as the other.
we're in a good shape to know where we stand, where we can finally come out with the people and give them figures on where we're going. Things aren't getting better. If we'd have done this 7 years ago or 6 years ago, there were actually monies available, which have dried up considerably.
Yeah, you can't go back now,
No.
because it is what it is.
But we shouldn't stall in the mud too much longer either, because you know as well as we do, working in this room is difficult.
Well, if the money's in the budget and it's in the fund,
What it's there for, and
yeah.
in my opinion, you have to start, and you have to have figures to bring to the town people.
Is that kind of a yes that I'm hearing?
If you get figures and then, we can't proceed, then figures ain't gonna be good for that long a period of time, I wouldn't guess.
No.
So that's the reason I was asking, first of all, we ready for that thing? We got $100,000. That's what we got.
We gotta find out sometime. We've been 8 years muddling over this piece of land. It took 6 of them to get the building down. It was there.
And
It was bought with the intention of being taken down, so.
Yeah, well, that's just, stirring the dirty waters, that's all that's doing.
Well,
That
it
ain't
may
gonna
be stirring dirty water, but that's what the intent was when we bought it.
Okay, so with this I just want to be clear on this. With this $6,500, you are going to have a complete set of blueprints.
We're going to
For
have the
a building-
design, we're gonna have the design of the building with the offices in the building and the size of the offices and the bathrooms and the,
A complete set of blueprints.
well, I don't know. There's a difference between.
In other words,
a complete set of
what I'm trying to
blueprints.
say
You're
is-
not gonna have the blueprints to build the building, no.
Well, that's what I mean. We're not going to have anything tangible other than this is an artist's rendering of what it's going to look like, and
No,
here's a
this is-
possible layout.
This is that site, a building that fits that site, interviewed by all the people who work in this building to come up with what the design of the building will be like. I can't say to you it's gonna have all the blueprints and the plumbing prints to build the building. I'm not gonna go there, because I'm not gonna have you come back and say to me, hey, you promised me, how come they're not there?
Yeah, well, you're not an architect anyway, so
Yeah.
that's a question you can't answer, but
So
this,
the issue
this is a
is-
design building to fit the lot.
What is what are you gonna have in it for ADA?
So it's nothing we'll have to do again.
Hopefully not.
No,
Not in our lifetime probably anyways, Rich,
I
so.
mean, when we did the first phase, we're not going back and doing it again. We're taking that information. The committee has passed it on to actually all these people. And we basically have said, okay, that's phase one, this is phase two, there'll be a phase three. Phase 3 will happen when we're ready to make it happen.
Okay.
It's kind of like the sewer plant.
Okay, enough discussion. We have a motion. I'm still looking for a second.
I got
The
it.
second. Very good. That's what I wanted to hear it in firm.
I said a second with discussion.
Okay, all right. I'm
Kinda
sorry.
ran the
We get
words
carried
together.
away. All right. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. Thank you, gentlemen. With nothing else before us?
Could I bring something up?
Yep.
If I could, please, and I'm concerned, and I share with you your loss in Dale. Dale was a good member of this board, and the fact that he's gone means that there has to be a replacement down the road. Title 24, subsection 961, says the vacancy should be posted within 10 days.
Right.
And
It'll be
two,
posted tomorrow.
it is, okay, that's what I was getting to, thank you.
Yes, I know the law.
We did discuss this, and with the term of election coming up, we figured there would be a new board in here
Right.
within that 10-day period, and it'll be up to their discretion.
Gives people opportunities to
Yes.
see it.
It actually has to be posted within 10 days, which makes it the 24th. It'll be
24th,
posted
right.
tomorrow,
Yep,
ready to go.
Good.
Can I bring one thing up before we go?
sure.
Who puts these together?
The auditors.
We try to.
Did you happen to look at page 9?
What's on page
Not me.
9? Not you.
No. Nelson Brownell is a selectman. Board of Selectmen. Chairman Steve Copey, Ronald Bisson, Nelson Brownell, Dale Palmer, and Mike George.
That's an oversight, you know.
I guess
We have
it
nothing
is.
against you, believe me. We have nothing
Well, I
against
just
you.
want
You're on
everybody to
last
know
page,
that for the last year I have been a selectman. So,
That's
I
got-
think,
a
Rich,
little proofreading might do you good.
Rich, I think what that's called is everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Let's get one more
We
quick
have to
thing.
keep that in mind every now and then.
One more quick thing is, some of you know this is our last meeting for elections. I want to thank Steve for his time on the board.
Thank you, Mike. It's been a pleasure and not a pleasure, but it's serving the people, and it's been fine. We do have one sewer board meeting coming up next month before the vote, and
But this is his last meeting.
Yes.
I do appreciate working with you guys, and like I said, it's unfortunate that we've come into the position we've come into at this time of the year with one member short, for the reasons being of which. But it's something we can't do anything about except be thankful we had the time we did. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.